What's going on? You see me wear the same exact shirt, it's fine. I've actually have showered since the last couple videos. You might be mm, whatever. Listen, I took a shower. I like this shirt for recording these types of videos. I might even buy more Uchiha like merch. That way, I can do stuff like this. Anyways, topic today is homelessness and my experiences with being homeless. In my lifetime, I'm 23, going on 24, and I've been homeless two times. One very recently, and another uh, a little bit when I was younger. I would say about 2011, so almost 10 plus years ago, or 10 plus years ago. Um, and I guess I'll speak on the first one, which was back in 2011. A little bit about myself, and I told you the whole goal of this channel is to talk about me, as well as my interests and topics that I want to talk about that don't require too much work. And talking about how I feel and my experiences is the best way I can do that. So if you see me looking down in the mic, I'm trying my best to work on the the audio issues from the last video. It sounded like I was too low, but anyways, let's get into it. Uh, Back in 2011, I was homeless. I wasn't I wasn't in my home state of South Carolina. So we were out with my mother and my two siblings, and we were with her boyfriend at the time. He resides in New Orleans. Um, so the idea was we all take a trip from uh South Carolina and go to New Orleans to go, be in his presence. Unfortunately, uh, he wasn't really the best guy. Okay, he was very abusive, and he had very much. He has a lot of anger issues. And at the age of 11, it's a lot. There's not too much you can do. I do believe originally I was not supposed to go. Had I not begged my mom to go, for what was supposed to be like a week trip, um, did not turn out to be that. Um, my memory's shot. I remember selling probably rings just to get gas money at a pawn shop. I might be wrong, but that's just what I remember as a kid. Because majority of the trip is a boring trip. You're going hundreds hundreds of miles. So majority of it I kind of slept, as well as I was instructed to keep my head down because I'm in the trunk essentially of a truck. It had a cab, what is it called? Yeah, cab, whatever you want to call it. And I was essentially in the back of a truck, um, with a window that slid so I could talk to my mom if I need to. Anyways, once we made it to New Orleans, it was okay. We stayed in this guy's extended stay hotel, one bed, a little table, a little chair, um, a TV and a little kitchen. And there was a Walmart really close to it as well. Um, so here we are in Louisiana, New Orleans. Um, and it just kind of turned south. Um, Not only did, my mother try to, make it home or get money so that we could get home because she didn't have a car. We were in his, in his vehicle. So we're basically waiting on him to take us home, essentially. And I do understand this is a bit more of my mother's story than it is my story, but I experienced this, so I felt as if it's okay for me to talk about it. Hopefully, my mom is very supportive, and it's all in the past. We've grown from it, so this is fine. But anyways, we were unable to get out of his clutches. Essentially, he never hit me or hit my sisters, who were also there. Young at the time. Um, I was the oldest at the time in that area. He never hit us, from my knowledge, but he was very abusive to my mom. I even saw him like spit on my mom, and it kind of pissed me off. Like he had this metal pipe in the corner, and I was ready to swing on his ass because he really pissed me off right then and there. Um, But despite it all, at some point, the the hotel, the extended stay said they were fighting so much that the extended stay said, "Okay, hey, you're paying. He can't stay here. He can't stay here. Well, the kids can stay here, but she can't." My mother is not leaving her kids in the presence of this abusive man. Um, so she did her best. She chose her best decision, and that's to take us with her, which I would have done the same thing had I been in her shoes. And she decided to take us, and we sat in front of a Walmart. That was a better, it's a very public place. Cameras everywhere. People are always moving around, and hopefully, if we were able to get some money, we could, you know, get in contact with somebody. We could, get food. And there was a McDonald's literally right there by the Walmart as well. Someone's gonna find it. It's with all this information I'm giving, someone's gonna find it. Extended stay right there, a Walmart right there, and a McDonald's right there as well. This is around the time Wildberry Pop Tarts were still new. In fact, eh, nah, nah, they were new to me. But anyways, it came out in 1995. If you wanted to know, but yeah, they were. I had a lot of things out there. I had my Game Boy. He threw my Game Boy in the middle of the road of traffic, along with a lot of my mom's stuff, her valuables, her belongings. We had no clothes. We had almost nothing. It's dangerous to go in the middle of the street looking for your Game Boy. I had a copy of Pokemon Ruby, man. That God, was so hard to find. It's easy to find Sapphire. It's easy to find Emerald, but freaking Ruby was so hard to find. I've never had a Groudon before, and that would have been my first one. But and I had a link cable. He tossed that shit too. Anyways, moving forward. Uh, yeah. Thankfully, a man came up and got us McDonald's, and I remember feeling too stubborn to eat the food. Uh, but yeah, my mom crying to have me please eat, and I ate it reluctantly. Uh, that night, police officer came and he got us a hotel room out of his own pocket, and we stayed in a hotel on his expense. Um, and we left in the morning, thankfully, and I really do appreciate him. I wish I remembered his name, but I don't. Too young, but he was a good man. Next, we slept inside of a bus station where you would catch a bus to wherever you need to go. Not like a public station, but like public transport, but more like taking the bus to North Carolina or type shit like that. Greyhound, I think they were called. But we didn't have enough money for the money that she was trying. My mom was really trying to get the information at how much it would cost, and amazingly, that guy found where we were. I don't know if he was mad or not, but there was a lot of walking involved. Walking to figure out where we at. I've seen some Mexican families in that area. Yeah, it was a lot of walking near a bridge, walking on the other side, trying to figure out what we're gonna eat. And my mind's really clogged and foggy on the rest of it. But the way we ended up getting out of the situation was, I remember one day my auntie Tori came, and she took us home. Uh, she took us home. We were able to uh go see my grandmother, and after that is another story for another time. Um, let's fast forward plenty of years later to year 2021. I think of 21 at this time. Um, I learned a valuable lesson, and that's to never. And I can talk about this one a little bit better because you know, it stings me to this day. It's not super far back in the mind. It's really fresh somewhat. So back in 2021, I had a roommate. and he was my friend. He was a really good friend with me, and I'd say he's one of my best friends. Unfortunately, you know, as time went on, his mental health kind of declined. Um, whether or not he was struggling with, you know, he was struggling with, his identity, or whether or not he should be here or not. Um, you know, I can sympathize with that. I understand mental health is a very serious thing. Um, but we also have to understand that at the end of the day, we have bills and such that need to be met. We have necessities and things that need to be done, regardless of how we feel. And if you don't feel up to the task or up to the challenge, then there's ways we can get out of this. When we first got our apartment together, to break our lease, it cost about 1 month's rent, and we'd have to bounce that same time. That was fine. That was an option I gave, but it wasn't took. It wasn't taken, um, and unfortunately, it left me down left us $2,000 in debt. Um, and it could have been worse. We could have gotten an eviction notice on us, but luckily, we surrendered our keys. I surrendered. He moved his things. I moved my stuff out, and we surrendered the keys. Surrendering, cleaning the apartment as well. Surrendering the keys gave us the opportunity to avoid the eviction. So then putting it on paper saying, "Hey, you got evicted," but there was a collection amount left. Um, so that hits me to this day. Um, and here's the homeless part. Unfortunately, his family never followed through on their threats. They always said, "Hey." In fact, when we first moved in, his parents were like, if he doesn't pay his portion of the bills or whatnot, kick his ass to the curb. They're talking to him about me. And he told me this. He's like, "Hey, my people say, hey, if you don't pay your part, man, do your part, kicking you to the curb." It's like, well, damn, all right, man, that's fine by me, I guess. Me knowing I'm financially responsible, I most definitely can. Um, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I understand. Uh, he ended up being the person who couldn't hold his end. And when I had attempted to kick him to the curb, his parents were like, "Oh, you can't do that. Uh, well, he's on the lease and it's in his name, and all this bullshit." When if it was the other way around, I bet I would be out on the road. But I understand I shouldn't be cursing. This video isn't for kids. We're grown adults, and this is me. Um, but you know, it was unfortunate because when it was their time to when they made the threat that, hey, once you leave this house, you cannot. They told him, once you leave this house, you cannot come back. There is no space for you. There is no room for you. You cannot come back to this house. They lied. They made space for him. He was able to come back to the house, and they did not follow through on their threats to him. He didn't learn a lesson at all. And text messages, I still have them. He apologized, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I've been this and this what, but I don't feel responsible." He's shifting blame. Doesn't matter. That's fine. Fine that it happened in the past, but not fine at the time. Fucked me over because I also did not have a place to go back to. I left a 2 bedroom home with about 10 people in it. Sorry for the stereotypes, but we said we were always packed in there like fucking Mexicans. Um, but it was very crowded, and to be paying, $100, $200 for sleeping on a couch, hell no. I'd rather pay someone $500, $550 actually, to sleep in an actual bed in my own room in my own space. Uh, living alone, I promise you, or living with your partner, someone you love, um, is way better than rooming with your friends. Your friends are fine, it's awesome and it's cool, but I think the idea of relying on someone else is really uh shaky. But let's get into the homeless part, okay? Excuse me. After that, my peoples were honest about their what they said. They don't truly have room for me, but they made some form of like some room for me. Um, but from about, let's say, from March, April, May, from April all the way to about October, I had nowhere to no June. Sorry, from June to October, I had no. I was sleeping in my car. Three things. I was just sleeping in my car. I was sleeping with my aunt, my grandma's house or auntie's house or cousin's house, whatever you call it, doesn't matter. And I was sleeping at my brother's. Okay. The conditions at my uh the conditions of my car. My car is a two door. It's a 2008 Volkswagen Rabbit. It's not the comfortablest car, um, but it made do. And honestly, I would crack the windows. This is in summer, so it's freaking hot. So, and it's South Carolina weather, so we have fiery, blazing summer sometimes. For South Carolina, sleeping in my car was not comfortable. Uh, Sleeping at my grandma's house or cousin's house was not comfortable. The unfortunate thing is that I worked a job that required me to be up really early in the morning, 7 o'clock, or be at the place at 7 o'clock. That's early for me. Um, and the situation there was that they had a lot of kids there, people that don't respect that you might have shit to do in the morning. So people are up all night long watching Coco Melon at full freaking blast, and you can barely get some sleep. Um, I just didn't feel clean even being there. I felt like sleeping in my car was a better option. And there were plenty of times where I could not get sleep just being in the house. And it'd be better to sleep in my freaking car. What really made me leave that situation in the first place, and you might say, oh, you had a place to go to, so you weren't truly homeless. A lot of people who are homeless are in between homes. Sometimes they're bunking with a mate. Uh, they're bunking with a friend. They're sleeping in their car. Uh, they're sleeping in outside. They're sleeping in the fucking outside tents, whatever. Um, it really sucked, honestly. Um, and thankfully, you know, throughout this time, these dark times, I had someone else in my corner helping me out, and it was my girlfriend, Brianna or Anna, uh, who was also going to be the mother of my child. Um, yeah, she's pregnant. That's the announcement. It was here first. Um, but yes, she was there for me during the time that was probably darkest. Although I wasn't. In times I would go all the way to where she lived at, which was about an hour away, and I'd sleep out there. I couldn't sleep in her house with her people and her friends, her family, and whatnot. But I would sleep in her neighborhood because it was sometimes, it's closer to her, so I could wake up, go see her, spend all day with her, and drop her off home, and then go to sleep in her neighborhood because I'm too tired to go home or go back down to where I used to live at or neighborhood, whatever. Who cares? Um, how I would claim myself was I had a friend, Shannon. I have a friend, coworker, I should say, Shannon. Uh, he let me know what you can do during this process in life because he also faced homelessness. And he's like, "Hey, you get a Planet Fitness subscription. You go there, bring your clothes. You go in there, take a shower. You know, wash up, and then you walk back out. Done. Nothing. Don't even. No one cares. People do it all the time. I get a black card so you can go to any Planet Fitness. Shit. Go there and walk around so you get a little bit of exercise. So you're not just going to work, coming in your car, and then sitting there. And I would find myself like wondering what the hell do I do with the rest of my day. I'm at work from 7 o'clock and I get off work at 4. What do I do from 4 to basically 12 o'clock? I don't know. Um, but yes, the I was charged being trying to be charged rent at my cousin's house for sleeping on the couch and sleeping outside the house. They tried to charge me about 250. Um, Sleep the bunk on their couch where I couldn't get any sleep. After talking to my dad who stayed there at the time, um, He informed me he's paying 250 as well to support, towards rent. Okay, my uncle also was there. He's paying 250. Cousin's there. He's paying 250. All right, we're all paying 250, but my dad has his whole. He has his own room. My cousin has his own room. My uncle, he's sleeping on the freaking floor. And me, I'm sleeping on the couch. Something ain't adding up, man. I'm not paying 250 to sleep on the floor or sleep on the couch. I'm a bit better than that. I'm not dumb. So I bounced. I gave them away $50 because I don't even sit there. I don't be there that often, and I left. Um, as a souvenir gift, my grandma gave me her cover as a good luck on your adventures, and I ended up staying with my brother. The conditions of my brother's house was not good. He had no lights. He had no well, he had no lights. He had no water, and it was a shit show at that house. It was a trailer, I should say. Um, so a trailer with no lights, no power. It's fucking hot. In that trailer, again, it's summer, so there's no way to condition the air. Um, Sorry for all the ums. It's just me trying to pull out this information from my head. So you could say I had shelter over my head, but if you've ever been in a house with no lights or water, you kind of understand that it's kind of hard to get shit done. Um, yeah. Luckily, I felt like I was like, hey, I gotta get the out of this situation. I was scammed plenty of times with fake Craigslist listings for housing. Uh, Apartments.com was not helpful. Plenty of places don't actually list their places for like sale on Apartments.com. So I had to go drive around and look. Uh, I found a place that was a one bedroom, but the conditions of the one bedroom was terrible. Like what really threw me off was that people were in there at the time. Like they're showing the building off, uh, the landlord, but there were other people there to look at that same house or same building or that same apartment. So I'm like, well, damn. And the guy knew the other guy, like he knew the landlord because his parent or his grandma had already stayed at the. She was a previous tenant, or she was a current tenant, I should say. So they already knew each other. So I was like, well, damn. Why are you showing this to many other people if you're already in cahoots with this one guy? And I'm just calling them back, trying to make sure, like, I'm trying to secure the apartment. Nice little $700 a month wasn't too bad. But thankfully, I've had a gracious angel. Her name is, I don't think I should say her name. I'll call her Kay. She's awesome. Um, and she got me into the place that I am in now. Um, by recommending it to me, and I submitted an application, got in. I had to wait probably about 2 months. Once I waited that 2 months, uh, well, during that 2 months, I grinded hella hard at work, working 12-hour shifts, working, get as much money as possible, getting overtime, letting all my extra overtime money go to Uncle Sam. Doesn't matter. Uh, and I'm here now. Uh, Homelessness, although it wasn't everyone's textbook story of sleeping outside in front of a McDonald's. Um, we all experience it in different ways. Whether or not that's sleeping in your car, being nomadic, and I by far didn't have it the worst. Sure, I have $2,000 in debt, but I'm still here, able to do what I can do here. Um, to live a comfortable lifestyle. A lot of people are still unable to do that. Not a lot of people have recovered from the homelessness, and it takes a lot of help to get out of that situation. And I was thankful, grateful enough to have someone in my corner and some places I could actually lay my head at, and people that had the knowledge to help me through those situations. So, in a nutshell, that's my experience of being homeless, and my homeless, experiences. Other than that, I'm done with Chia, and be safe. Peace. Oh, wrong place. Ooh.